Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Winklerverse. I am Bart Winkler. It's great to be with you on this Super Bowl Sunday night. Got the Sunday scaries. I was at a Super Bowl party, and it was parents and it was kids, and everybody left at halftime because it's a school night, and there's kids. But it was a good night. Seahawks win 29-13. The game itself, I don't think was that exciting. It's certainly not going to be one that we remember. I don't know, what are you going to remember about this Super Bowl? I think, just thinking of different Super Bowls, Patriots, Falcons. Okay. You remember 28-3, the Eagles, Patriots. You remember Nick Foles in the Philly special. I think the Broncos, Panthers Super Bowl, first thing that I would think of is Cam Newton not trying to recover a fumble. Ravens and Niners, you remember the lights going out, right? And I think that this is going to be that kind of remembrance. I don't know. We may be real on the cusp of it. And, maybe in 3 days' time, it blows over and there's a new thing for us to think about. But the story coming into this Super Bowl was Bad Bunny. I mean, let's not get it twisted. I didn't want it to be the story. And I don't think that I don't want to give oxygen to the fact that it was the story. But the story leading up to the Super Bowl was Bad Bunny. And you know what? Let me do 60 seconds on the halftime thing. May I? It's totally fine for other groups to want to counter program the halftime show. The only reason we have a halftime show to begin with, as hyped up as it is because one year Fox, who didn't have broadcast rights, was like, there's all these people watching TV. And at halftime, they just have like some USC marching band or something. There's all these people watching TV at this time. We know they're watching TV. So if we advertise that something's going to be on the halftime show and they don't like it, they can come watch it here and then go back to the game afterwards. And so they did a new episode of In Living Color, this early 90s, as the halftime show. 20 million people flipped over. And the Super Bowl's like, well, we can't have that. The NFL's like, we can't have that. So the next year, Pepsi got on board, and then they had Michael Jackson do the halftime show. So there's always ways to counter Celebrity Deathmatch. I used to watch Celebrity Deathmatch during halftimes of the Super Bowl. And I know that WWE has done stuff. Halftime Heat, was it, or something? You can counter program during the Super Bowl. It's totally fine. I saw that the counter programming got about 5-6 million people. That's not a ton. Not for this. And I still don't understand what the problem was. I mean, do you know how many artists there are in the world musically? And do you know how many, especially in this fractured landscape, it's not 1979 where all we're just like, yeah, I listen to the Who on the radio. Oh, so do I. Oh, yeah, me too. Oh, that's because that's all that we can do. It's 2026. There's music everywhere. Half the music that's popular today anyway is because of a TikTok meme. And then it gets into the real world. What I'm saying is the pearl clutching over halftime show, whether it's Kendrick or Bad Bunny or whoever it's going to be, could be Taylor Swift, could be Lady Gaga, could be, the greatest halftime show ever, of course, Prince doing Purple Rain in the Rain. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, the halftime show is good. The entertainment value is good. It was the one time everybody at the party I was at was around the TV. And the first half was really no good. So I don't understand it. I don't understand how you could have the amount of effort to care so much about a 12-minute production during a sports halftime show that you might not even totally like. So the halftime stuff, I don't care if it's the Wiggles. I don't care. the halftime show. Anyway, I said 60 seconds. That was more like 180. I've got the link out if anybody wants to join. Q says Cam Thomas. Yeah, Bucks have been pretty active. They got Cam Thomas, who was waived inexplicably by the Nets. Although I did see a tweet that I have to think that the sentiment is true. You don't just waive a 24-year-old. That's good. And that's what Brooklyn did. So we'll see what he does with the Bucks. And again, I don't know what the Bucks are going to try to do. If they're competing, if they're not competing. I'm going to try to talk a little Bucks on the show this week. I'll reach out to Eric and Jimmo and see what we can do there. No Bucks show tomorrow. Maybe Wednesday against the Thunder would be good. We'll check it with the Bucks at some point this week for sure. Q is there if you want to talk Bucks, I suppose. You can. Otherwise, we could talk about this great 29-13 football game.
That was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen.
It wasn't.
What was worse?
Rams, Bengals was pretty bad.
At least that had star power.
Yeah, I think this Super Bowl, one of the reasons why the halftime show was able to get so much oxygen is because the NFL didn't have a matchup that was going to take it away. Now, there's going to be 120 million people that watch this game. I mean, there's no other sporting event that you're going to like have parties for. Okay. You don't, and that's some of that is because it's one game. You know, if the NBA had a one game final, would you have parties? I don't know. World Series, I don't know. Super Bowl's totally different. But the game itself, I thought was lacking in hype. And not only the halftime thing, the NBA trade deadline. Like Giannis was a bigger story on Radio Row than Sam Darnold or Drake May were. I mean, that's just a fact. Oh, that's the other thing that fucking happened. Giannis promotes his Kelce advertisement the day after the trade deadline. Dude, I'm not happy. That's bullshit. Because this whole time he could have been influenced. That's bullshit. And we can't let him off the hook just because he's our guy. That is bullshit.
I'm good with it.
It's bullshit, though.
I don't know. Like, why? Some dude that used to sell like sodas on the side of the road is like making money. Like I'm here for it. He can do whatever he wants in my book.
The problem with this kind of stuff is there was a guy who set up a wallet on, maybe it was Polymarket, one of the other ones, and nailed like every halftime thing because he had yes to Lady Gaga and yes to Ricky Martin and no to some other people. Like, it's insider trading brought to you like it's sports gambling, but it's not. It's a scam. Now, I did do some insider trading tonight. I did use the Kelce app to make some bets, and I did do well on that because I had this game script figured out. Low scoring first half, check. A lot of points in the second half, check. Mac Hollins touchdown, check. AJ Barner first score, got that one, baby. But I got rocked on my DraftKings lineup, so not a profitable night.
I was hoping for kickers only scoring after that first half. Like,
yeah.
Like and then when the fourth quarter hit, I was trying to vote for Seahawks kicker as MVP, but he did not appear.
Oh yeah, you could vote online, but I don't think that does not count as an actual vote.
What is it for then?
I think the NFL, unless I'm mistaken, I think the NFL puts who you like. They make you think you're voting for the Super Bowl MVP, but you're actually not.
I don't know. I'm glad old Ken Walker won. That was cool.
Kenneth Walker, Michigan State, officially the Super Bowl MVP. He had a very good night. Let me just, if I may, enlighten people. if they don't know and don't box score watch or didn't catch the game. It was 29-13 the final. Seattle over New England. Sam Darnold, who we need to talk about because he should have been a Viking. 19 of 38, 202 and a touch. Drake May, on the other hand, 2 touchdowns, but he did have 2 interceptions. Eventually got up to 295 yards, and most of that in the second half. Walker gets the MVP for 135 yards on the ground. The field goals, I get, okay, Jason Myers, but they were all set up by Walker. I thought you could try to give it to somebody on the defensive side for Seattle because there was a lot of guys contributing, but there wasn't like one guy that stepped up and did more of the work. So the MVP did go to Kenneth Walker. A lot of people's popular pick for that was JSN. He eventually came back in the game after a concussion, but their leading receiver was Cooper Kupp. New England really did not do much. 79 yards rushing. The receiving, Mac Hollins had that touchdown, 35-yard catch for a long, but he had nothing. I mean, it was just, it wasn't this was a Patriots team. I think coming into this game, it seemed to be a very lackadaisical way to say what was going to happen, but Seattle's got a really good defense. Their offense is not bad either. I know they lost Charbonnet, but they didn't really seem to need him. The Patriots scheduled to get here on a 4th place schedule, and then what they had to face in the postseason. And then even when they take on the Broncos without Bo Nix and Jared Stidham leads a drive right away, and you're like, whoa. Then it starts snowing. No one can do anything. The path to New England getting here was very, very easy comparatively. That doesn't mean they couldn't have won, but they went up against the defense that was not going to allow them to breathe. Drake May got sacked how many times tonight? 6 times. I believe he's gotten sacked more than any other quarterback in a postseason in history with like 20-some. So this seemed to be the most likely result, but it took a very boring way. You're right. The game was not that good. It was not a good game. But I feel like there's been games that have been just as bad, but it's been a while. It's been a while. And this was as high of a scoring game as, some of these other ones, but oh no, not Rams. Did I say Rams Bengals? I meant Rams Patriots, that 13-3 one that Goff started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean that one. I meant that one. But yeah, this was this was about as bad. Because 29-13, that was not. The score was more like 45-3. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the Pats had a chance at any moment during this game. So
I feel like growing up, Super Bowls were usually like this. They were usually not that good. One team was much better than the other. We'd see Buffalo get their ass kicked I think the first Super Bowl I ever remember, I saw people talking about that today. I think I remember the Broncos one where they got killed by the Niners. I think.
At least we had like the Budweiser frogs. Like the commercials nowadays are no bueno.
Were any of them good? Again, I was a room full of people.
There was one. I did like the Xfinity commercial where it was like the guy had working internet and then it prevented Jurassic Park from failing. And it was like, imagine like that one was pretty funny.
I like that commercial, but I saw it earlier in the week.
Oh.
And then I get mad about that. But then when I'm watching the game, I'm only bringing this up. Like, I'm not trying to act. I usually watch the game by myself, and somehow we ended up at someone else's house tonight.
Was it Giannis's house?
It was.
Whoa!
Yeah, Giannis was there. Thanasis.
Did you have Euros?
Thomas just got to town. He had nowhere to go, so he showed up.
Euros?
Yeah, we had Euros. Yep.
Is that why you had the inside scoop on what was going to happen in the predictive analytics? Yeah.
That's why I'm on Kelce, is because I was at Giannis's house. And he's like, yo, you got to get on Kelce.
He gave you some free credits.
And then I was like, dude, you faked that injury both times this year, right? And he's like, no, I did not say.
I'm honestly like
I was not at Giannis's house.
I'm honestly legit excited about Cam Thomas. So, but we don't. This is not an NBA night. It's
What do you think was the turning point of the game?
when Bo Nix got hurt, it made that the Super Bowl was not going to be a good game. That was a turning point of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like meaning 3 weeks ago when Bo Nix got hurt, it was going to be a shitty Super Bowl no matter what.
Micah Parsons got hurt? That was a turning point. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that like it tonight's game actually made me feel better about re-signing Matt LaFleur. And I hate him, but it's like this league, if these were the two best teams, this is not the NFL I remember. So, and maybe I sound like an idiot, but I don't know. But shout out to John Snyder for building a really good defense again.
He did it. Seattle is your Super Bowl champs. I'm going to read some comments. I'm going to let you go. Good to see you, Q.
Good to see you, man.
Love you, buddy. No love you in return. Wow. Link is up if anyone else wants to chime in. I see some of you guys fighting in the comments, so I'm excited to go through that. We are brought to you by Happy Place Hemp. The promo code is BART, 25% off happyplacehemp.com. You put BART in the box at checkout, the promo. So, Giannis is advertising Kelce. I hope he's not using it because that's, Tom Brady is advertising Pizza Hut. Brother, Tom Brady ain't eating Pizza Hut. So I'm talking about Happy Place Hemp. It's 10 o'clock. It's time to imbibe. We got some of the 10 milligram seltzers here. These are what I'm talking about. These are what you can get at Happy Place Hemp. Now, there are some places around town that sell them, at least Milwaukee. But if you want the promo code, just go to Happy Place Hemp. Check them out on College Court in Muskego. No calories. That's good. And then we got the 20 milligramos. Mixed berry. 20 milligramos. I don't do anything in moderation. So we go into 20 Town tonight. This is the Drift. Now, I don't know if some of these products you're like not supposed to have on air. So I just got to be like about it. So I'm just going to. I don't know. What are they going to do? Who's policing into the Winklerverse? Happy Place Hemp. Promo code BART. 25% off. And when that starts to show the effects, we deucing out of here. Okay? Let's get that straight. All right. Let's start from the top and go through some comments before we talk about what this game means for the future of the NFL and why I hate Matt LaFleur. Ozone, sick and tired of these little screen pass or 5-yard toss plays. Go for the fucking bomb. Patriots scored on those in 2 different plays. Yeah, this was a game. See, the game. So sometimes it looks really easy to throw a 40-yard pass that's caught for a touchdown. But it's not always there. So sometimes that's going to be there and available to you when the game opens up. A lot of times you're like, why weren't they playing like this the whole game? Oh, well, they were playing against a different kind of defense. So the defense softens up a little bit or knows you're going to pass. So then they back up a little bit, but then there might be some more pockets for you. And Mac Hollins, of course. I mean, the guy doesn't wear shoes. Of course, he's going to score in the Super Bowl. He doesn't wear shoes. A Freedom Boner, most exciting part of the game was the halftime show. Jeff says, for once, the phrase defense wins championships is true. And, you know, if you look at this from a Packers building perspective, this is why you go out and get Micah Parsons. I mean, you need difference makers on that team. The Seahawks have so many difference makers that, like, one of them should have gotten the MVP, but they had so many guys chipping up. If the Packers ever put together a defensive performance like that, even if Micah Parsons had 3 tackles and no hurries, he would still get the MVP because, of course, you know, he's getting double teamed. What I'm saying is, no matter how good a Packers defense performance is with Micah Parsons, you give Micah Parsons the MVP. With the Seahawks, they don't have a Micah Parsons, but they've got like 10, 11 guys who we don't. They don't have Rashawn Gary's. They don't have that. Mr. Positive, I was worried about you. Terrible game. Glad the Hawks won. Halftime show. Oh, well. Oh, well. We've got to reevaluate what's important to us as a society. The halftime show. It's not important. I mean, it's a big moment. It's a big thing, and we're all watching it. So, yeah. And you are allowed to see a performer and not like who the performer is or not know enough about them. I don't think you should be like, I don't know him. I'm not going to watch. That's kind of weird. Oh, I don't know him. I'm going to have my own halftime show. That's kind of weird too. Bob says the Super Bowl halftime show is epic and the Kid Pebble show flopped. Texas Badger said TP USA show did not flop, asshole. I'll tell you right now, I saw it had 5 million viewers, which is more than I'll ever get ever. I get it. 5 million. It's all relative, folks. There's a lot of shows on television that have never come close to having 5 million viewers. But for the amount of attention and advertising and white hot rage behind the setting up of this halftime show, if it got 5 million viewers, that it would flop. I'm not going to say flop, but that's got to be below their expectations. And so now what's going to happen is that we're going to get the number, and then we're going to see the Bad Bunny number, and then we're going to talk about, and then we're going to fucking talk about, then we're going to fight about over what is a flop? What are our expectations? How about we just move the fuck on? How about we just move the fuck on? How about when a Super Bowl halftime show happens, we either watch it or we don't? Who gives a shit? I watched Puppy Bowl for the first time ever. That's a pretty entertaining product. It's Puppy Bowl 22. I've never seen it before. I like that today. I didn't get into the pregame stuff. I didn't watch any NBC pregame. Normally what I'll do is I'll get so excited for the Super Bowl that I'll just say, I need the pregame. And then I'm bored to tears. So I experienced the Super Bowl in a different way today. I watched a lot of NBA. Daytime NBA. I watched the Puppy Bowl. I like that better. And then you get into the Super Bowl. I like that better. I'm glad I did what I did. The 1979, they can play. I like them. I did not like the Meal Diamond commercial. I know that was my guy, Andy, and Neil's my guy, but I don't like Neil Diamond being resorted to a pun joke to sell mayonnaise. But I'm a big Neil guy, so that one not a fan of Meal Diamond. Bob also says, hey, Bart, that was an excellent game. Showed why I never bet unders. The underbettors need to go to church tonight and thank Jesus or whoever they worship. Yeah, the game did go under. Seahawks did cover the spread. So I had that part wrong. I thought we'd be in line for like a 28-24 game where the Seahawks don't cover, but they win. But slow first half, picked up in the second. Although when it picked up, it never really got interesting. It picked up in that there was scoring, but that defensive touchdown really kind of sealed any shot of New England coming back. And I don't understand why they didn't go for two. They had an opportunity tonight to go for two. In even people that are bad at math are like, oh, you got to go for two there. We always debate when like teams go for two, and then you're like, should they have gone for two? But then analytic people will be like, yeah, you have to. How dare you? One's stupid. And then Vrabel, when he should have gone for two, goes for one, and everyone's just like, nah. They just move on with their life. Doesn't make any sense. No happy ending for Kraft. That's from Jay. Jordan Hudson wearing that shirt. What are you doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm not Team Robert Kraft, but she's wearing a shirt of the massage parlor with Bill Belichick. What are we mad at Robert Kraft for if you're Bill Belichick? He had a job there for 20 years and you won 6 Super Bowl titles. What and now you're getting back by having your 24-year-old girlfriend wear t-shirts? Sometimes people fight and you don't root for any of them to win. I don't like it. Another one from Bob. That wasn't the worst Super Bowl. Anyone who says that doesn't really know much about the Super Bowl. There's been a lot of bad Super Bowls, but lately they've been better. The Tampa Bay Kansas City one wasn't great. You know, Mahomes was banged up. His line was banged up. Last year's Super Bowl was not good. Last year's Super Bowl was not good. Yeah, boring. Last year's Super Bowl was not good. But the Chiefs lost, so we didn't care. This one, the Patriots, I know they're the Patriots, and it's like but it's not. It feels like baby Patriots. It doesn't feel like the real Patriots. It feels like a reboot of the Patriots. Like this isn't the I can't even think of any of the actors' names. Who the fuck? Who's the guy who plays what's the guy's name? X-Men. Who's the guy who plays the guy? What the fuck? Patrick Stewart plays Charles Xavier. Yeah, this isn't Patrick Stewart. This is McAvoy. This isn't McKellen playing Magneto. This is Fassbender. Okay? Still a good cast, but it's not the original cast. So, you can like hate him if you want. But I mean, that's a you problem. The talking like this, like that, you're not even you're warped. The TV has warped you. The TV has warped you. You know, if you put your smartphone away for 2 months, no, weeks, if you don't look at your smartphone for 2 weeks, your brain, I just read this today on my smartphone, your brain will recalibrate and it will think you're a decade younger. My first non-WWE exposure to Bad Bunny seemed fun. Yeah, it's fine. It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes. Proud vet for life says Patriots suck. Second year rookie quarterback, and it showed. One thing that people do not know is Drake May was actually at the last Super Bowl that was played at Levi. Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was. He was there with his dad, and he's rooting for the Patriots. Grant says, nice to hear from Freedom Boner. Always. Always that. Oh, maybe speak English as a star. Okay. All right. Okay. We're not even. We're not even. It's not even like. It's not even like I don't like that artist or care to know about that style of music. It's just the level of things that people think that they're willing to admit. Just crazy. Forrest Jones says sports are becoming more fake by the year. We could get into that. Buckshot Bobby, Bad Bunny was rough. Patrick, boring game until the fourth quarter. Didn't know that Seahawks D was that good. It was underwhelming game. I was at a baseball practice for much of the second half, thank goodness. Why even baseball practice? First of all, what? Sunday night at 8 o'clock, baseball practice? Don't you take off for the Super Bowl? I did have an indoor soccer game once during a Super Bowl. Oh, I was so pissed. I think it was. I'm trying to think. It would have been when I was in high school. I think it was the Ravens Giants one. I don't know. I was fucking pissed. I was like, why do we have to go, Dad? Yeah. I don't know. So those are some of the comments. We are coming to you live on the Dan Shaney YouTube stream. DanShaney.com. Check him out for your insurance needs. I think, an overall picture from this Super Bowl. Again, we could talk commercials and halftime and where you watching, who you watching with. My dinner consisted of just dips. I had a buffalo chicken dip. I had like a bean dip. We had a spinach dip. Come to think about it, I didn't eat dinner unless you just count the dips. And I guess this. I guess that a little bit. I think the Sam Darnold part, I think there's a lot of people that are happy to see that Sam Darnold won. And I think it's got to be pretty shitty to be a Vikings fan right now. There's got to be a pretty shitty situation. I mean, we were worried when Favre left that he would win a Super Bowl somewhere else. And then he went back to Minnesota and they beat the Packers and, they had a shot to go to the NFC Championship game. Obviously lost to the Saints. I remember that game because I immediately went to NFL.com or NFLshop.com and I bought a Saints NFC Champions shirt because they beat Favre. So that would be pretty shitty if that happened. But it didn't. So is it worse then? Like if Favre won a Super Bowl, that would be shitty. But we still had all that time with Favre. We won a Super Bowl with him. He was old, still left. Okay. And then won. That's different. Sam Darnold bounced around. He was with New York. He was with Carolina. He has been to a Super Bowl with the Niners. People forget. But then he latches on to the Vikings. And Sam he's 28 years old. So he's still relatively young. Like, we think there's a lot more time of Jordan Love. Well, he's 27. Sam Darnold's 28. And the Vikings were getting credit for rehabilitating his career, and then they let him go. Now, when they signed him, they then drafted McCarthy. They signed him first because free agency comes first. And then you go ahead and you draft McCarthy, which, I get. But then should they have gone with Darnold? Hindsight being 2010, if you have my eyes, yeah, they should have. But I think that was something we've talked to Matthew Collar about this, Purple Insider. That's been something that we probably could have said yes before. Buckshot says Sam Darnold goes into the Trent Dilfer class of mediocre quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl because of an elite defense. I don't know. Are we sure Sam's not going to be back? He played well against the Rams. Well, yeah, this defense was the better unit of the two, but the Niners, the Seahawks offense was good too. Forrest Jones says Kevin O'Connell would have been one and done with Darnold. I don't have the time or characters to type it. We learned KOC prioritizes displaying his genius offensive play design over winning in other ways. Oh, so we call that LaFleurisms. Yeah. LaFleur would rather win a game running the football and not embarrassing the other team than to actually let his quarterback throw. Unless it's Malik Willis, who LaFleur would rather have. But people don't like that take of mine. I'm starting to yawn. I hope you're not. We got a little bit yet. I gotta finish this one, and then I gotta finish this one, and then this one, and then just take the 4-pack. Take the 4-pack down. Look, you're supposed to figure out on your own how much you can handle. Okay. We ain't sniffing the Super Bowl with LaFleur. I don't think so either. But we'll have to talk about that more. I saw Ed Policy's comments about staying out of the emotions, and LaFleur's a good coach. And basically the best argument that I've seen for keeping Matt LaFleur is he's better than the guys that are bad. It could be worse. Nobody ever says like Matt LaFleur. Well, the one time they credit him is when they give you his regular season record, which is dog shit the last 3 years compared to the first 4. It's also very Aaron Rodgers, coded. I don't know. And then you have Mike McDonald winning a Super Bowl in his second year. Vrabel got there in his first. I just don't know what we're waiting for. But Packers brass has determined, and they're telling you, look, Bisaccia is still around. They're not getting rid of McMahon. They're not getting rid of any. They're running it back. Even when teams say they run it back, they still tweak a little bit of it. This team ain't tweaking anything. The Packers are running it back, defiantly running it back. They want you to understand how little is going to change and how proud they are of it. No team in the history of the world is going to run it back as harder as the Green Bay Packers come 2026. Bob says, I would never have thought McCarthy was better than Darnold. Huge error. This is the problem is, I get what the problem was. It was Sam Darnold, give him a 1 year or give him a 3 year. You could franchise him. But then what? What if he's good? Well, then, they fucked up. I mean, you have McCarthy. Because the Packers had Jordan Love for 3 years while Rodgers played. And then they got rid. They had to find out in a year if Love was going to be good. They determined that he was. So they gave him $55 million based off 1 year. JJ McCarthy, had they extended Darnold and he was good, they could have gave him another contract, which their thinking was, well, then why did we draft McCarthy? And that's sunk cost fallacy. If you have a guy that can do it, take that guy. You took 2 dart throws at it, 1 free agent, 1 draft, and the free agent looked like it was going to work out better. Penix and Cousins were like the same way, and then the Falcons eventually moved on to Penix, and now that he got hurt, and, I don't think that we're totally comfortable saying that that's worked out and that'll be right. Maybe neither of them do. But Penix is a smarter play there than Cousins is. But with the Vikings, it was not that cut and dry, and there were wrinkles to it. So I get some of the hesitation, and I get some of the, frustration and the indecisiveness and really wanting to try to make it work. But they made the wrong decision. And worst case scenario for the Vikings, now they still went 9-8 somehow. But if they went 9-8 somehow with that quarterback situation, what if you did just have, competent Sam Darnold? And I talked about this too. Like if you're in the trenches, and Sam Darnold's your leader because he's your contemporary. You're his age. Like these guys are all, they've been through the same thing. And then he leaves, and then like McCarthy's a kid. A kid comes in. Think of high school seniors being, we're all high school seniors, and now you're going to be led. Oh, no, actually, the quarterback's going to be an eighth grader. That's like the age difference. And I know they're in their 20s now, but they're still there. Forrest, J.J. McCarthy's going to win big in this league. O'Connor refused to alter his offense for McCarthy. Most O-line combinations in the league. I'm not out on McCarthy 100%, but right now, Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. There's no reason that Seahawks team couldn't have been the Vikings. They were in a division that was just as hard as ours. We don't know how things would have played out, but you play the season back 100 times and the Vikings have Sam Darnold as their quarterback. How many times do they win the Super Bowl? If you play that season 100 times, 5, 10, they win. They win. So that's got to be hard for the Vikings tonight. So what's harder? Because I think it's hard for the Vikings. I still think Favre winning a Super Bowl would have felt worse, because Darnold, he wasn't really there. But now Darnold, the rest of his career, the Vikings are still going to be able to think, what if he was ours? So neither are good. When you have a guy and you trade him away, you want him to be bad forever. Or when you get rid of him, you don't. That's the risk you take. That's why you're always trying to win trades, because you don't want to have regret. So you don't want the guy that you trade to be good, because then you regret. But then you have to make sure the guy you drafted. I said a long time ago when the Packers drafted Love that for this to work and for it to pay off, Love needs to win a Super Bowl. But so does Aaron Rodgers while we still have Love, while we still have them both. That obviously didn't happen. Now for the Vikings to have McCarthy work, you're gonna need to win a Super Bowl, because Sam's already won one the year after you let him go. Buckshot Bobby, I didn't laugh at one single Super Bowl commercial. I think Super Bowl commercials, I don't think we get back to that. I think some things are just lost. Like Friday night at Blockbuster. We won't even have the patience for that. Even if that's what was back, right? We all long for those days. But even if streaming was gone and you actually had to drive to your video store to pick one up, we'd bitch. And we'd quickly find a way to have somebody DoorDash us a VHS tape. Maybe that could have been. Maybe we should have delivery drivers for VHS back in the day. But that's what we would do it. We longed for it. We wouldn't actually do it. Super Bowl commercials, they didn't used to cost $10 million, first of all. When they were funny, it took us by surprise. The best commercial, honestly, was probably it was a Bitcoin one. Was it Coinbase? Because the TV screen for a full minute looked like karaoke. And I'm sure people started to sing in their living rooms across the world, wondering what this was for. Oh, fuck, it's Coinbase. But that was probably the most effective commercial. Because that's the 90s commercial with George and Urkel and Carlton. I didn't catch it, but then people are like, oh, it's one I'll have to go back and watch. Again, I didn't see shit for commercials. I bitched about, but then I'll have to go back and, USA Today ranks the commercials. I used to like that when it was just a paper insert. Now you can watch commercials, but it's $10 million now. So they have to do a teaser and then they have to put it out early. And then it happens during the game. They're not paying for it to be on the game anymore. They have to buy into the game so they can do all the other shit with it. They have to do all that other shit with it. So it doesn't make sense just to spend $10 million on a 30-second commercial that people aren't even paying attention to. You have to put it out there now, and it's got to live on. But yeah, a lot of time, what's really bad is when you see one of these like 2-minute Super Bowl commercials and there's celebrity cameo and there's animals talking and then there's a baby with a flamethrower and then there's another crazy cameo and you're like, wow, this is messed up. And then they have to shrink it down to a 30-second commercial for regular rotation. Seeing Super Bowl commercials after the Super Bowl used to really trip me up. Wow, that was what. But now it's like super condensed. And it's like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this? It's just throwing a lot of shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. But the best commercials, like, did Q say the Budweiser frogs before? You didn't know what you were watching. The commercial, that's why I think the karaoke one was good, because the commercial is going to be on the screen. You have to do something in 5-10 seconds to get people to be like, well, what is this? And I don't know that they do that anymore. It's all the same kind of, it's the same script, it feels like, all the time with commercials. But yeah, it doesn't feel like the commercials are not as much of a part of the big game as they used to be. I would say I used to feel like the commercials were like 60%, the game was 30%, and the halftime show was 10. Now I feel like it's the game 50% and the halftime show 40% and the commercials 10. But this year, obviously, it was halftime show. I mean, fucking 96 fucking percent. So Seattle Seahawks, they will most likely, I would think, be favored to repeat. Typically, that is what they do. Let's see. DraftKings Sportsbooks. What are the odds? Seahawks and Rams are 10-1 odds. Bills 11-1. This is for next year. Ravens, Patriots, Eagles 13-1. I think it's too early for a lot of that stuff. We didn't know this time last year it would be Seattle. We didn't know they'd have Sam Darnold. We thought they'd still have Geno Smith. What's funny is when these quarterbacks started getting more attention, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, they're not. You can't put those two in the same class. Geno Smith, I mean, he's out of Seattle and he goes to the Raiders and they're going to draft Mendoza now. And then Sam Darnold goes to Seattle and they win a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think Geno Smith is a big loser of tonight. Probably. We'll chat with Carlos Ortiz. I believe EJ Stewart's going to join us too tomorrow on our national perspective. We'll talk more about this Super Bowl and some of the topics that we addressed here tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you won some bets. Hope you won some squares. Hope you won some numbers. I did pretty good on my bets. I told Horvat we need the Super Bowl. We're not going to need it forever, but we need it right now. So I did good on my bets. I won on my bets at a time where I need to win more than ever. I broke even on the night because I lost it all back on DraftKings lineups. Don't. Stupid idiot me. 25% off. Promo code BART. HappyPlaceHemp.com. Mm-hmm. It's a good berry. It just tastes like a sparkling water. Berry flavor. Good. Thank you. As always, for stopping in too. The Winklerverse.